Hey everybody, welcome back to another shelf in the Dice Tower Library. This is rack 11, which is the least checked out rack in the Dice Tower Library. Well, something's gotta be, right? And this is the historical shelf and train game shelf. So we'll start here at the top. We have Heroes of Normandy. This is like a miniature game from Devil Pig that is, that uses tokens instead of miniatures. Hegemony, which is possibly the most popular game on this entire rack. Very, about the government and everything involved there. Rurik! If you've never played Rurik, you really got to try this game. Has a really neat action selection system. Struggle of Empires from Martin Wallace. A civilization, more like colonization probably type game. Clash of Cultures. This is one that a lot of people really enjoy, a sort of for some people it's a definitive civilization style game. Then a couple unusual games: A Few Acres of Snow, Martin Wallace deck building game about the French and Indian War, The Great Fire of London, 1666, which is one of the first games Pandasaurus made actually, and this one is about putting out that fire, or at least containing it. The Shores of Tripoli, one of the first games Fort Circle Games made, about, that little war that happened there. Very asymmetrical, light war game. Then we have Imperium Classics. I believe in this box are both of the original two sets of Imperium. That way, because it all fits in one if you want to play that. Next to that, City of the Big Shoulders, an 18XX style game. And then I have, ASL. Now, Advanced Squad Leader, Starter Kit 1, this probably never ever gets checked out, but you might want to check it out because it's such a classic game, and this is one of the games I have in the library, just so people can see it if you've never seen this classic game. Then we have three of the Undaunted games, Normandy, North Africa, and Battle Britain, all very different. My favorite of the three is Battle Britain, but they're all very, very excellent, again, deck-building games. Speaking of the 18XX series, 18XX just means 18 with two things after it, sort of. They're all train games, stock market games, 18CZ, 24, 61, 67, 46, 30, 18 Chesapeake, and 1822 of Great Britain. Now, how did I pick which ones? Well, these are both classics, 30 and 46. That's why they both made it in. Other than that, I just got some of the newer ones. I stopped adding them to the library, although I'll be putting in a new one soon. But for the most part, they don't get checked out enough. But I wanted there to be a selection in the library in case people wanted to play them. Then we have some stuff. Well, we have Wings of Glory, which was the precursor actually to X-Wing, a World War I combat game that uses cards for movement. Conflict of Heroes, this is from Academy Games, and in fact, there's several Academy games here. 1754, 1775, 1812, all very good, 1775 being my favorite. And then 878 Vikings, which is kind of the same style game, although it's a different box. But this is a very good series. Orange Shall Overcome, about the Dutch resistance in World War II. I don't know as much about that one, but I know Chris likes it a lot. Then we have, since it's train games, I moved all the Ticket to Rides to this shelf. Now, Ticket to Ride is a little tricky as to what we include in here. So we got a couple base games in Europe, Markland, Nordic countries, Northern Lights. These are all the Ticket to Ride base games that can be combined with the expansions. Rails and Sails is also a base game, but it can't really be combined with the expansions. Then we have all the expansions in order: Asia, India, Africa, Netherlands, UK, France on one side, and I believe it's Old West on the other side. 6.5, which is Poland, Japan, and then Iberia and South Korea. We then have 4 of the small ones. Only 4 because these are very similar. So I just put in 4. We don't need them. And they also are probably the least checked out. They're excellent games. Everything on Ticket to Ride is excellent. It doesn't get played at conventions as much, but I want people to have a chance to check out the expansions or one of the interesting classics like Ticket to Ride Markland. All right, more historical games on the next shelf. Freedom, the Underground Railroad. An expansion was just announced for that. Twilight Struggle, great classic. Combat Commander Europe. 1960, about the election during that year. First to Flight, kind of hard to read the title there, but this is about getting the Wright brothers and their competitors. Someone's going to be the first one to make an airplane. Founding Fathers, which is very similar to 1960 and Twilight Struggle. That's why they're all on the same shelf. Escape from Colditz is a classic game, sort of Hogan's Heroes or The Great Escape, the board game. Then I got a couple of the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective in here. I don't need all of them because probably people aren't going to play all of them, but again, if you're looking for these heavy style games, this is where they would be. Votes for Women, another Fort Circle game. I should probably put those two together next to each other. Autobahn, about building the German Autobahn. D-Day Dice, a dice game, mostly solitaire, but you can play 2 players. Pax Pamir, another, and John Company. These are 2 very popular games. And then Western Empires. You want to play a huge civilization game? Well, there you go. So then after that, we could take a look at the bottom shelf where we have the very classic game Acquire and its follow-up Shark. Not so much historical games necessarily, although they're in a sense part of history, the games themselves. Then we have Foothills, which is a sort of, in Tony Boydell's line of games that he makes, they're all very similar. Stevens, I've not played that one yet. I have to get around to it. Freedom. Diplomacy. I hate Diplomacy with all my heart, but it's not a game that shouldn't be in the library. It might be one that you want to check out or at least look at. This very classic game. And it does get played at our conventions. Then Caesar, Rome versus Gaul, and another classic, Kingmaker. Iberian Rails, Ancient Civilizations of the Inner Sea, Rolling Freight, which is a dice version of Steam, which, hey, there's Steam, which is a simplified version of Age of Steam. Hey, there's Age of Steam. And then the roll and write Age of Steam essentially is Steamrollers. Ride the Rails, which is a very good game from Capstone about trains. And Kansas Pacific. If you're looking for train games, that section, this whole shelf is the place to look. So what are my favorite games on each of the shelves? Well, on the top, probably Hegemony is my favorite there. I do like Rurik a lot, but I'm going to go with Hegemony. On the second shelf, 1775 is such an excellent game. I really enjoy it. On the Ticket to Ride shelf, well, I like them all. My favorite Ticket to Ride is Markland, and my favorite expansion for Ticket to Ride is probably the UK Pennsylvania map. And then on this shelf here, this one's tricky. It's got to be Twilight Struggle, right? Sometimes I'm more in the mood to play 1960, but Twilight Struggle is such a classic game. And then on the bottom, well, there's a lot of games here I have not played, but I guess Acquire, right? Shark is a meaner version of Acquire, but I really do like Acquire. What are your favorite games? Let me know in the comments on each of these. But that's another Rack in the Dice Tower Library. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see you next time. Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Vasel.